How's everyone doing today? This is Gary the Numbers Guy, and I'm with GG33, and today we got a special interview for you guys. First of all, here's Bridget. Say hi.
Hello, how are you?
And right over there is the man of the hour, the original Joe Rogan. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm here and I waited a long time for this.
Oh, don't worry. We're about to get into it. So first, I want to say a few things. Joe is not here to defend himself, so I will be asking questions on a fair and non-biased way. Having said that, we know some facts of the case. Before we go into Joe and all that stuff, tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
I was born in 1941.
You're the snake.
St. Michael's Hospital, Newark. I went to grammar school in Harrison, New Jersey, Holy Cross. I went to high school in Harrison High School. Then I went in the Navy.
You served our country.
4 years.
What year, sir?
61 to 65.
Thank you for your service and being a patriot.
Thank you. I was a policeman when I came out. I did 30 years in the Harrison Police Department, retired as a lieutenant, and I covered a lot of bases.
So you spent 4 years in the military serving our country and 30 years in the police force, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that tells us a lot about your character. That tells you you're out here trying to serve and protect people, correct?
No doubt about it.
Tell us not what you have done, but what interests you in life. What type of person are you?
I'm a people's person. I love people.
And obviously a Steelers fan.
All day long.
1933, right, baby?
That's when we were born. I started in 1965 as a Steeler.
Joe, going back to you, let's start with August 11th, 1967, the day Joe was born. Tell us about that day.
He was born in St. Michael's Hospital.
Was he a big baby?
He was good size.
Good size, about 8 pounds, 9
7,
pounds.
8 pounds.
7, 8 pounds. Healthy baby?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And as he was growing up, what did you notice in Joe?
He was soft.
Soft?
Yeah.
And soft in what way, sir?
Joe was always, he wouldn't get involved with people, and he wasn't a tough kid. He very smart. I noticed that right off the top. He loved to look at books and the dragons and the prehistoric animals, and he knew everything.
He was like a zoologist at a young age.
Yeah, he was very smart, very smart.
As Joe got older, did you bond with him?
Oh yeah, that was everything to me. And I had to work in the police department. I worked several jobs, but
you did the best you could as a father to provide for your son.
The best I could, and things happened, and they happened.
Let's talk about as Joe got older, about 4 or 5 years old. Did you notice any characteristics that basically would tell us he would turn out to be the way he is?
No. I knew he had intelligence, but the way he is, I had to laugh about that one.
Could you have ever imagined that he would turn out and do what he's doing in life?
No and no. No at what he's doing, and no to be alive.
No, well, we'll definitely get into that. As Joe turned about 5, 6, 7, could you tell us the type of bond you had right before your ex-wife took him from you?
Well, we were separated like when he was about, he might have just turned 6 years old. We were separated like 9 to 10 months.
About 1973, we're taking it?
Yes, okay. I would say around 19.
So Joe's born in 1967, the year of the goat, and 1973 is the year the ox is enemy sign. So that would make sense that there was a separation during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what your relationship was like with Joe during this separation, this 9 months.
I had it. So with Joe, I was trying to be there every Friday for the weekend. Of course, my job didn't let me go every Friday, but I would go over and pick him up every weekend. And I would take him over to my mom's house. We would stay there. And Joe, on Saturday nights, loved to go into the Harrison Pleasure Club. It was an Italian social club in Harrison that I belonged to, members only, and I used to take them on Saturday nights at about 6 o'clock because the place was closed. And at that time, if you people remember that had been around, excuse me, he would love to go there, sit down, have his Coca-Cola, and I'd give him a handful of quarters, he would play the jukebox. And it really got to me to a point that when I heard him talk later on in life about I beat people up, he see me own the tavern. Wrong. I beat people up. There was nobody in the club but me and Joe. I don't know who he was talking about. Maybe he imagined this or invented it.
We'll get into that. Let's talk about now. Do you need some water, sir?
Yeah.
Let's talk about now the day Joe was taken from you. Tell us about the day his mother just took off with him.
Well, I wasn't there the day he took off.
Did you know anything about it?
No, none at all.
So she took your son away without any knowledge. She didn't say anything. She just took him and left.
Her and her boyfriend.
Her and her boyfriend. Okay. And this was what year?
1974.
So 1974. Joe's around 7 years old, 7 years old at this time.
He was actually, he just turned 7.
Just turned 7. And right as he turned 7, your ex-wife just took him from you with her boyfriend, correct? What did you do at that point? Your son is gone. What do you do? This is a terrible situation. Doesn't matter if it's 1974, 1984, or 2024. This is stuff that men deal with all the time. How did you deal with that situation, sir?
Well, when I went over there, I called up first, and nobody answered the phone. I went over there that Saturday morning, and the gentleman that was taking care of the janitor of the building they lived in said, "Hey, how you doing, Pops?" I said, "Oh, how you doing? How's everything? You see my son?" He said, "They're gone." I said, "They're gone? Where they moved?" "Yeah, man, California." I said, "God, come on. You can't." No, they had the car all packed. They left early yesterday morning.
So you found out from a neighbor that...
Yeah, he was the janitor of the building.
Oh my. What was going through, like, I can't imagine. What was going through your head when that happened?
My head was straight, but my heart bounced. It hit the ground and bounced the butt and hit me in the mouth.
As a police officer, did you try to take any legal action?
No, you don't have to be a police officer. What I did was I went home and I called a friend of mine who was an attorney. He came over to see me. He said, "Take it easy, see what happens. We'll talk about it." Because there was nothing he could do because they were on their way out there. I didn't even know where they were going. I didn't know where they were at.
So just to go back a little bit, your ex-wife takes Joe, your son, who you're divorced from at that point, correct?
Yeah.
But she takes your son without your consent to California, and you find out about this from a janitor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I can't think of many worse things than taking someone's son away from them. See, this is one of the problems in society. We need a strong family unit. I am privileged, not because of my skin. I am privileged because I had a mother and a father.
Mother and father?
So you were privileged in this life.
Absolutely.
Joe was not privileged because his mother took his father away from him. This is something that a lot of men deal with in society today, and I just want to make this example clear. I can't think of anything that's worse. Sir, how did you deal with this?
Well, about a week and a half after he was gone, I get a letter from the San Francisco welfare that I had to pay $135 a week.
Wow, that's how he find out, huh?
So I said, wait a minute. I called my friend again, the lawyer. He came on Saturday morning to my house. He was in court at the time. and I had to go to work in the police department. And I went in, and he come to my house. We sat down. He said, "Let me see that." The letter. I gave him the letter. He says, "Hold on to that. I'll call them Monday." He said, "Did we ever go to a court? We never went to no court for her to get the clearance to take him out of the state." I says, "No, we never went no place. I don't know what you're talking about, because I didn't know that law was there." He said to me, he said, "You just can't do this." So I said, "Well, we'll find out." So when he got the call, I got a call from the San Francisco. He called them, they called me, they said that the case was dropped, that the lawyer had all his paperwork sent to him, whatever. So when he came over to my house, he said to me, he said, "Joe," he said, "she can't do this. She had to get a judge to sign off on your son to make sure that she can leave properly."
What she did was illegal.
Illegal. It was like kidnapping.
Was she punished for it?
Never.
Never. But why?
I'll tell you why.
I'll
tell you why. See, there's a why. So my lawyer said to me, he said, "Well, let's file charges." I said, whoa, right there. That's what happens to him and his sister. He says, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's California. I don't know how screwed up they are out there."
Even in 74, right?
Yeah. I said, "What would happen if he went to family services and got put into a home until this is straightened out? This kid's too soft." I said, he would fold up. I was thinking, I said, "No, I can't do that. I can't do that. Bring her back and put the kid's life and his future in jeopardy."
Let me rewind for a second. So after your ex-wife steals your son from you and goes to California, your lawyer comes to you and says, "Whoa, this ain't legal." And the only reason you don't go after her is because you're worried that if they take the kids away from the mother,
right,
they're going to be in some kind of foster care.
No doubt about it.
I want you guys to think for a second about the compassionate nature of a man who just lost his son to his ex-wife, and he decides not to go after her legally because he's still worried about the kids. I commend you, sir.
That was, excuse me. The next 27 years have followed me. And that's the only reason. The only reason is the time to step up and be a man. And what you want and what you got is two different things. But what you got, you know you got. What you want, you can never have. Because as soon as they found out whatever happened, they moved here, they moved there. You can look and Google it. She moved, I think, 17, 18 times in so many years.
Let's talk about the man who was helping raising your son. What do we know about this individual?
As far as I got a run-in with, not a run-in, but an interview with the, I never knew this, with the magazine, Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And I read the article in Rolling Stone, and I couldn't believe it that when he was 8 years old, a year later, that he had my son down by the wharf or whatever it was. The kid had a problem, and he gives him a doobie or a bomb to smoke at 8 years old.
8 years old?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make this abundantly clear. There's a difference between when an adult decides to do marijuana, when a child decides to do it. People have to understand, child's minds have to develop. The man who was looking after your son was giving him drugs, and he was an unfit person to raise Joe.
I didn't know that 15 years later on Rolling Stone. I never knew that. Because me, if you came out of my house, you went to school. If you were athletic, you played ball. If you weren't, you were smart, you studied.
And Joe was the smart one?
Joe was smart.
Okay. Let's talk about now the fact that, has your son ever tried to reach out to you?
No.
So he was taken from you in 1974. We're talking about almost 50 freaking years. Joe Rogan, who was beloved by so many people. Joe Rogan, who was stolen from you. He never once even tried to reach out to you.
No, Joe, listen, everybody out there, I'm going to tell you straight up. I only know how to go straight. Right here, down the line, Charlie Brown. Here it comes. Joe's full of shit in plain English. He's nothing but, he went to drama school. You can see he's a drama queen. With emphasis on queen.
I don't think that's definitely up there, man. Even he can't get mad at that.
No, he's a drama queen. Everything is drama to him. And when you look at him, people tell me, I don't look at him on TV because my parents, my street, my life, where I came from, you don't do no doobies and bounds.
Not at 8 years old.
No, not even when you were 15, 18, we didn't do that. We were trying to live the straight life and be the right thing. That's why I got such beautiful daughters, man.
Let me bring Bridget into this. Being raised by this man, pretty much I'm assuming, he's been a part of your life all your 44 years. Has he been a good influence on you? And if so, please just tell us how.
My father is, he's my biggest fan, and he's my role model. From birth till now, he's just given me and my sister such a wonderful life. Anything that a father is supposed to do, my father has done tenfold.
A father's supposed to help educate you. A father's supposed to help protect you emotionally and physically.
Right.
A father's supposed to do everything he can in his position to make sure you have a better life than he did.
100%.
Did he do all that?
Yeah, we went to.
And you're a good man.
Yeah, no, he Catholic school from kindergarten through high school, college. Never mind, we're twins, so there were two of us at the same time. Paid for everything. I never had to question anything with my father. My father, and everybody loves my father. No matter where you go around here, everybody knows my father. All my friends, my son's friends. It's just, he's the best. I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed.
You're definitely privileged.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to you, sir. As someone who's a police officer, what have you done to people that you've run into who've been in similar situations of you? What kind of advice have you given them in the past?
Well, I never ran into nobody that the wife left them. You don't do that every day of the week, like an accident or.
No, that's some, excuse my language, that's some fucked up
it's
shit.
100%. But what I found out in life, the more you put into life, you get out. It's like going to the bank. You put money in, you get paid. You
get interest.
You put money in. When another week you go a little low, you can take money out. You don't put money in, you can't take it out.
100%.
And if that's life, what you put into life, you get out of life.
Yin yang.
Yes, the yin and the yang.
That's what you do. And I tried it. I'm straight up. I can let you go check me out. I had places where I worked in an 85% African American school in Newark, Robert Tree Academy.
So you learn how to fight.
No, it wasn't that. I was working security.
Okay.
Armed security after I retired. I used to grab them kids and tell them. They used to get more out of me than some of the teachers. No lie. I would give them sneaking something to eat in the morning. I'd bring it in. If they missed something or if they had a problem, I would go to the teacher and see if she would give them extra time in the afternoon on a lunch hour. And she was dynamite, Miss Romer. Dynamite lady. What a teacher. I gave her 7, 8 kids, and every one of them kids got to be put on the honor roll after that within weeks.
You're out here helping people not just in your family, but all over.
Here, baby. If you ain't got this, don't leave the house.
That tells you a lot about the type of person we're dealing with. let's move on. I've never heard of you until a couple months ago.
Nobody.
I never heard of you until a couple months ago. And can you tell us why, after almost 50 years, now you decided to come forward and tell people about your side of what happened when Joe Rogan got basically kidnapped from you?
It's my daughter sitting right here. Her son, that if you see him leave before the talk, 16 years old. He went to his mother one day and said, "Mom, Daddy, Papa really beat his ex-wife up?"
So your
Yeah.
grandkid heard, I'm assuming at school, from the internet,
Yes.
that said that you beat your ex-wife.
Yeah. And you know what I said? No lie, cuz I'm not gonna tell you I'm a holy roller, nothing
We're
like
not
that.
saints. We're not saints.
But let me explain something to you.
Oh, you got Pittsburgh gear on. That's
I looked up in the air and I said, "My man, I gotta get him this time." I let it go. I let him go because he was my blood. I let him go because on Cleveland Avenue, where you came from, you don't pull that kind of shit. Family is family.
So, just to get this from the very beginning, your son was kidnapped from you, and you didn't press charges because you didn't want Joe being raised in a foster home.
No.
That's why you didn't.
Without a doubt.
That's why you didn't. And
Without a
then
doubt.
you kept quiet. You didn't say anything
No.
about this for not 10, not 20, not 30, but damn near 50 years. And the reason you did this is because your grandkid, her son, came to you and said, "Did you beat women?"
And you know what makes me laugh? No, it don't make me laugh, but hurts me in my heart. I don't care where you're from, what color you are, who's your mother, who's your father, what your father did for a living, what you did for a living. I would look at you for what you are and what you should be when you grow up, these kids. And I try to help all the kids out. Guys I got now are grown men. When I first got on the police department, stop me when they see me. "Hey, Joe, wasn't for you, I wouldn't have this job. You help me out, man."
How many people are you a mentor to?
I couldn't tell you that. I'd be lying if I told.
Is it safe to say that because your son was stolen from you?
No. That came from my mom and dad in Cleveland Avenue.
Raising you
Raised that way, baby. Raised that way. When the doctor slapped me on the ass, it started.
You're a colorful guy, man. You're almost as colorful.
I got more.
I bet you do. So let's get into it. You let your son go, who was stolen from you, and you get this message that your grandson now is questioning whether you beat someone. Tell us what you're going through in that moment.
What I went through that moment was, I said to myself, well, it's an expression I had from back then. I don't want to say it on this podcast because it's a little...
That's okay.
All right.
Be yourself, brother.
I said to myself, I said, "Lord, I waited 48 years. But here I am, I'm back in the hood. And mother made it, motherfucker. I'm getting him. I'm going after this lying son of a bitch, and I'm going to bury him. There's no holding me back." He lied. He made, on his first trip to the Howard Stern show, "Oh yes, my father, he beat my mother up. Oh yes." Then when it got popular, and he said he was from Newark, and I was raised up in a bad neighborhood. He wasn't from Newark. He spent only 8-9 months.
Where was he from?
Harrison. He
Harrison?
was born and slapped on the head.
Is that the hood?
No, it ain't the hood.
Middle class neighborhood?
Yeah, that's where I came from.
So Joe's from the suburbs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he's no badass from the hood.
Joe ain't Joe.
No.
Look, Joe knows he's sweet and he's got sugar in his tank, and he knows that he can't be a tough guy. He can take up all the karate in the world, go to all the dojos you want, lift all the weights you want. But when you're born, if you don't have this, you better stay the hell home. If you ain't got heart, you ain't gonna do shit out there.
Oh.
Joe's a phony.
Joe has sugar in his tank?
I'll bet on that. I'm telling you right now, and I like I'm the father.
Did you see signs of that when he was young?
Long time ago.
Did he ever show interest in girls?
I didn't see him much since he was 7 years old. I didn't even know what the girl was.
I mean, most people at 7 ain't looking at girls.
No.
I'm on it just a little bit, but, you know.
Oh, you can't get me on that one. But then all of a sudden, you go by channels, change channel. He's there, and he says, "Oh yeah, my honor." He beat the
Did he ever say that he saw you do that?
No.
So it's all allegations. He never said he saw it with his own eyes.
Never.
Okay, so he's getting all this information from basically your ex-wife.
Later on, he made it up.
Okay.
I believe he made it up.
You believe he wasn't told this by your ex-wife?
Oh no. He was told that, so that's why he left New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that comes in.
I think a good point that we need to add here is that Joe has a biological sister, a full biological sister from my father.
Okay.
And she is a year younger, approximately a year
What
younger
is her
than
name?
Joe. Laura Rogan.
Okay.
And Laura was in the picture as well. So if Joe was 7, Laura was 6. And why isn't she ever brought up? Why doesn't anybody know about her? Where's her memory of all of these?
Was she taken too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was.
So it wasn't just Joe, it was also the sister that was
Yes,
taken.
the 2 kids.
Do you have a relationship with this other
No, I didn't even know where they were.
Okay.
Look, today you got Google.
Yeah,
You got this, you got
Yellow
that.
Pages
You
back
can
then.
holler out the window and get somebody in Chicago.
Okay.
Then you had to scrap and scrape. You didn't know I was a cop. And I couldn't let my personal life interfere with my police life. When I go in, I punch that clock, I give the time 8 hours. It ain't 8 hours isn't for me. 8 hours is for
Has
the
she
kid.
ever said that you're guilty of anything?
She had to say something. Where did he get the information? But here's my point now. And everybody skips this.
Let's hear it.
Except me and my daughter. And my other daughter, my wife, and everybody. Once we talked to the the Sun magazine, and we gave the information to Joe. They did a couple articles on me and my daughter and that. Once they talked to the Sun, then my lawyer, I went to see my lawyer, and he got involved, the one that helped me with that security case. And he sent them a cease?
We sent Joe a cease and desist letter from further defaming my father.
And what happened with that?
Joe has not spoken of my father since.
Okay, so you rattled his cage a little bit.
He didn't have a cage. He had a bullshit line. He had a bullshit line. Joe is, look it, I said he's a drama queen. Joe got what he got. All them people, I feel sorry for you out there that follow him on the podcast. From here and here, I'm telling you the truth, I feel sorry for you. Because you listen to a liar.
You know, there's this one story that sticks out in my mind that I just want to talk about. And Joe says that, he came from a latchkey home. He said that he was 8 years old and they had moved to San Francisco and he was on Fisherman's Wharf by himself because his mother and the stepfather worked. And
8 years old by himself.
8 years old by himself. On Fisherman's
What
Wharf.
wonderful parenting.
Yeah.
Okay? And he says, he was doing magic tricks on Fisherman's Wharf at 8 years old.
Once a hustler, always a hustler.
And so they say, well, how did you get in there? I had the key, I go in, my parents had to work. Not once does he mention Laura. So now Laura is a year younger than Joe. If Joe is 8 by himself on Fisherman's Wharf, where was 7-year-old Laura? Where was she? Why is that? Why, Gary? Why is that not brought up?
That's very interesting. Here's what I'm getting out of this. Obviously, when Joe's a kid, his father's not around, and he's going to believe anything that's in his mother's ear. But once a man gets older, shouldn't he start asking some questions like, where's my father? As a man, you'd want to know those things, because I got breaking news for you. Women don't always tell the truth. I want to repeat that. Women do not always tell the truth. So, I mean, is that something you agree with as a woman?
I mean, you know, I'm not one of them.
Yeah, but you know where I'm coming from.
But there are women that will maliciously use their children to get their way.
So we have a woman who is in this dude's ear lying, but that's okay. Because we understand when he's a young kid, that's one thing. Once he gets older, in his 20s and his 30s, don't you think he'd want to reach out to his father and see who his father was, who not once went in the media before then and try to talk to him and try to make a big deal? I'm sitting across from this man right now. This ain't about money for him. You can look in that man's eyes. This is not about money for this man. He is pissed off because he did a lot of things to Joe, like basically not filing charges against his ex-wife to make sure he didn't go to foster care.
100%.
You know, just the compassion of doing something like that after someone ripped your freaking heart out. And I'm assuming that's what happened. And you still did something like that. That shows your character. That is not the character of someone who beats his wife.
No.
I'm sorry. That is just not.
Can we talk about how when my father, because everyone needs to know that when Joe was 7, my father had just started off on the police force. So he was a patrolman, you start off as a patrolman. And my father would direct the traffic on, was it the Clay Street Bridge?
No, the Stickle Bridge, 280.
Stickle Bridge, 280. And Joe's mother, Susan, and her then boyfriend, who was 23 years old, Louis Lembo, would drive Joe's mother's car with the 2 children in the car over the bridge that my father was patrolling on purpose every morning to bring the kids to the Catholic school that my father paid for. Now, if my father was this crazy cop, psychotic cop from New Jersey, Gary, don't you think he could have said, hey, 212, I got a car coming over the bridge.
Yeah, pull him over, make sure there's something found in the back seat.
100%.
You could have done that.
He was the local doobie dealer, right, Daddy?
Yeah.
He was the local doobie dealer at the time. So I'm sure there was something in that back seat, okay?
You could have taken revenge and you didn't.
No, look, let me explain something. People today, especially then it started, they got the cop as the wrong guy off the top. A lot of people, not everybody, because everybody don't know about cops. Until you, like, if the commercial says walk a mile in my shoes, put my shoes on to see how it works. I didn't care about what color you were, what you were, where you were. I ain't going overboard to do anything to hurt you. Because you got a family and I gotta lie to make myself look good. That's bullshit. You gotta be you gotta go straight down the line. And I can tell you stories, but this ain't nothing. Where do we go on later on?
Yeah, that'll be a different episode.
When it comes down to Joe, let me ask you a few things. What would you like for him to do?
Would I like him?
What would you like? Joe is 100% going to watch this. Look into the camera and tell what you want that man to do. Look into the camera.
What I like you to do, Joe. I don't want you to base everything I said to you right now because it wasn't how I felt then. Today I got a family, I got a lot of things going, and you really aren't on my good side right now because you lied. But to put your father into the point that I was such a bad guy, I was a psychotic guy. If I was psychotic, Joe, I would have never made 30 years in the police department. I would have been gone.
You were putting away psychopaths.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's the thing, Joe. What I would love you to do is get them 15 million, 20 million people you got power and tell them one day, I got the wrong information, my father was a good guy.
That's it. That's it.
You know, Joe has apologized for promoting the vaccine. Do you think he'll apologize to you?
The vaccine?
No. Joe has already apologized for that.
Yeah.
Do you
That's
think,
the only thing he apologized.
do you think he will apologize to you?
No.
Never.
Because he made all that money lying. He got to that position lying. He got to be a big shot lying. That's why I tell you, it's two lies. The one you see and the sugar-coated one on the side.
As a grandparent, do you think you have a right to see your grandkids?
I did at that time, but I'm not the grandparent no more. She got married and everything else.
Those are still your grandkids.
I don't even know what kind of kids they got. I know he got adopted kids or whatever he did. He married some cocktail waitress or something. But you know, Joe lives a life for Joe. He could be in a round room and he's looking for a corner. It ain't gonna happen.
You're not going to stop until you get an apology.
That's all I want.
So this is all going to stop. All these videos, everything stops when Joe says, Dad, I'm sorry, I had the wrong information. And it's over.
No, the videos are not over. No. Joe deserves a kick in his ass.
What would it take for Joe to come up and reconcile with you? What would it take? Besides an apology, what does Joe have to do for all of this to stop? Look in the camera and let us know.
You gotta go to my way, my yard, my backyard, to me and my family, and apologize. But you don't have the balls, Joe. I told you that on TikTok. You don't have the ball. TikTok, I told you straight up. I'm a straight guy. You don't even know what your father's about. I'm a serious man. In the police department, I was a serious man. I did my job. Playing ball, I was serious. That's why I was rated one of the top ball players in the country.
You were a good athlete.
I was there.
What sport?
Fast pitch, softball, soccer, baseball when I was in high school, but I made all sports.
Contact hitter or power hitter?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I can pop the ball, man.
Pop it out the yard,
Yeah,
huh?
oh yeah, without a doubt.
I like to hear that.
Without a doubt. And I played against some of the greatest pitchers in the country. Not in Harrison, not in New Jersey.
Give us some names.
Johnson from a local 57 in Rhode Island. Nuremberg out of Connecticut. Preacher Dudley. Harvey Sturko.
Is baseball your favorite sport?
Baseball is secondary.
To the Steelers.
To the Steelers. My heart was baseball conked out when I started playing fast pitch softball. I love fast pitch softball. It's one of the greatest things that ever happened to me.
Is that something that he shared with you in your life?
Yeah.
His love for sports, baseball, football. I'm assuming the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well,
by the way, are you a Pittsburgh Steelers fan?
I absolutely am, and anybody that walks in our door becomes a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Well, what if I told you I was born in Cleveland, Ohio?
I'd say hello.
You know, I remember a game vividly. You're probably going to remember this too. It was about 1989. And the Cleveland Browns went into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers about 51-0.
That was when the...
89.
Yep.
You remember that game?
Yeah, and I remember the one that Baltimore kicked up in the first game. But who got more trophies?
Oh, no doubt. You know,
who went to sleep the next 20 years?
Hey, I don't run the organization. All I'm going to tell you is that, listen, the Browns put a restraining order on me for telling them to draft Adrian Peterson in 2007. So we're talking about a Hall of Famer. I asked him to It was a funny story. In 2007, you guys know what I do. I'm a numerologist, astrologer. That's what I do. In 2007, I had talks with the Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Cavs, Cleveland Indians. And I went up to the Cleveland Browns secretary in Berea, that was a suburb of Cleveland. And I'm like, yo, I need to talk to the GM. The guy at the time was named Phil Savage. And they basically told me, well, he's not meeting with anyone. I'm like, give me your birthday. All right, and I'm like, if I do right, let me talk to Savage. She's like, wow, you're pretty good. I talked to Savage. He's a very religious person. He's not believing it. Fine. I still go out there, start, doing numerology, astrology, go on the local radios. What happens is I get a phone call one day. You're going to love this. I get a phone call and it's like, son, my name is Lou Marletti. Do you know who I am? I'm like, hell no, I don't know who you are. He's like, Google me, hangs up. I'm thinking, wow, this guy's acting like a mob boss, right? I Google him. He's the former head of the Secret Service under Bill Clinton.
Wow.
Apparently, he is a vice president for security for the Cleveland Browns. He called me back in 5 minutes. All of a sudden, I took that bass out of my voice. Okay, how you doing, sir? He basically told me, look, the Browns don't want anything to do with you. I'm like, listen, I got something real important here. And he's like, sir, we're going to put a restraining order on you. I'm going to do what you do. And that's how I had a professional football team put a restraining order on me. But the interesting part is, just like you have that Golden State thing right there, I got a championship ring right here because I helped them build a championship. But, it's just interesting how people from different walks of life have different experiences.
Without a doubt.
Right.
But when it comes to you, sir, you have an experience that I think can help a lot of men. Not just from 74, 84, but right now. Because this is not something that had stopped happening. If anything, what happened to you is happening to a lot more men. So let me ask you this. Give some advice to men who are going through the same thing you went through. The ex-wife took the child, took the kids, and now they're brainwashing them. And they're not going to have that masculine figure that they need to actually become a man. Because I don't care what anyone says. A woman cannot teach a boy how to become a man. Do you agree, sir?
I gotta agree. I gotta agree with that because look at Joe. Joe can act like he's a tough guy, but he's not a tough guy. And then he said to me, you made stories about me. I was this, I was that. Oh, I was a big karate expert.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, the karate expert.
Yeah, I beat the shit out.
So have you ever taken karate?
What I did was, when Joe left, a good friend of mine came to my apartment and sat down and said, Joe, listen to me. I know it bothers you, but you got to take up something to your anger out, and so you don't take it to the job. You don't take your personal business to the job. So I gave it a thought, and a couple of weeks went by, and then I was driving by with the scooter at the time. I was doing the tickets, and a friend of mine came out of the school. I graduated high school with Eddie Doyle, who was a karate instructor. I looked at his Eddie, you still got the school in Kearney? Yeah, I'm middle there, boom, boom, boom. Eddie was a 7th or 6th or whatever degree. He was just terrific. And I knew Eddie would teach you because when I went to school with him, when I graduated with him, he was the type of a guy that everything had to be straight. He didn't just take it for the money. So I went to karate school about a year and a half or so, and all I did it for was my job, self-defense. And I'm going to be honest with you. I could say in 3 years, not 3 years, 3 times, it saved my ass. I would have been.
Your job as a cop.
I would have been either in a hospital or
Is that something you would encourage a lot of police officers nowadays to do?
Oh, without a doubt, because there's a lot of phony cops out there.
What do you mean by phony cops?
They think they're tough, but they ain't. You put that.
They got a badge. They got a badge.
That don't make you Popeye with spinach.
Yeah, but when you have a badge, people are less likely to.
No. That's what you got to get rid of. But that comes from leadership. Trickles down. If you got shit at the top, you're gonna have shit at the bottom.
Well, we know with the president right now.
Yeah, the president, he's dead. He ain't got brains to lay down.
Hey, brother, we could go on and on about that, but I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
That we're not fans of the Biden administration.
No, not at
They,
all.
but they forget one thing. This country is called the United States of America. And we better get united.
Yeah.
You seem like a pretty conservative guy, and you, conservative woman. When I heard Joe 10 years ago, it seemed like he was a liberal to me. That's what it seemed like because of the issues he's pushing.
Mm.
Now he seems to be like held strong on the conservative side. And I'm thinking, well, when did Joe become a conservative? To the way I look at things, it looks like the pendulum got thrown so far in the left that a leftist like Joe actually looks like a moderate now.
Joe is what he wants to be because of the money. The money got where he is because he thinks he's too smart and he's too educated.
You don't think Joe has political ideology? He's just where the money is.
Come on, he can't take care of his family. How's he going to take care of a country or a city?
No. What I mean is, you don't believe you don't believe he's a leftist or a rightist. He's whatever people pay him to do.
I think that he likes controversy.
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah, you're a talk show host. You gotta have it.
So he likes controversy. Like he's I think the wrong thing they did was give him that number one over his head. That head went like that. If you look at his head, it got bigger. His head got bigger than his head.
You know, a lot of people with Joe's birthday tend to do very well in media. You got Hulk Hogan, who's born on the 11th. You got him. You got Alex Jones, another one of his buddies who are born on the 11th. Another up-and-coming star, Aiden Ross, is born on the 11th. So this is why people flock to him, because he's born on the 11th. Now, he has charisma, but is he a good person? Tell people what you think about Joe as a person.
He's full of shit.
Straight to the point, huh?
Straight to the point. He knows how to use the people. He knows how to use the media.
Has he done anything positive from the mic, in your opinion? With all this influence he has Joe Rogan, can you look at Joe Rogan, even with some of the animosity you have, and be like, you know what? He at least did one good thing there. We'll start with you.
Well, I mean, this is a hard question. I don't want to take anything away from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
If he earned it, he earned it. You know, he worked hard for it. I believe that whatever you put out into the universe, you get back. So, obviously, somewhere along the line, he did something right. But the problem is,
He didn't do his old man right.
Exactly. That's the base, where you come from. Okay? And at the end of the day, you built this success off of a lie. And I clearly remember as a teenager telling my father when Joe was on Howard Stern, Daddy, you know, he's saying a lot of crazy things about you. Bridget, leave him alone.
What went into your thinking back then to say leave him alone? Why back then was it leave it alone, and now I want your throat?
Leave it alone because I live my life. Right now, I got grandsons, and I don't want them. They know Papa for what Papa is.
Right.
I don't want them to think that because of what Joe Rogan said.
You don't want on your tombstone to say white beater.
No
Okay.
white beater.
And what, you know, Joe is a figure in this house. My kids love the UFC. Okay, he's all over YouTube. He's all over TikTok. You know, I have a 16-year-old. I have a 16-year-old and I have an 8-year-old. Do I say no, Carlo, no, Robert? You cannot watch them. Absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. But when my 16-year-old, who was about 14, going on 15, came to me in the car, and he said, Mama, you know, everybody's saying that Joe Rogan said that Papa beat up his wife. I had to pull over.
How did you feel in that moment?
I pulled over because I felt a rush to my head, and I knew eventually you know, as kids get older, you can't hide things from them. And I want to be as honest as possible. And I said, you know, I pulled over and I turned around and I said to him, Robert, he did say that. He says, but why would he say that about Papa? And I said, because he's hurt. And hurt people hurt people. And when you get older, you're going to understand. Does my son believe Joe when he said? Absolutely not. But when I came home and I told my father, it was like all hell had broken loose.
Party was over.
All that leave Joe alone, all that.
That went out the window. That went out the window.
Look it. I come from Cleveland Avenue. I did my thing. I protected people in life. I shut my mouth for all these years. Kept it quiet. Not too many guys would do that.
No, that is a fact. This man I haven't heard a peep out of this man until recently. It's been almost 50 years. If this man had an agenda other than what he's telling you, I think it probably when it came out, like maybe 2011, 13, when Joe was already making it.
Yep. Right, no, now it's, he's only saying anything because Joe got that big Spotify deal.
Let me tell you.
You could have done it before.
Let me tell you something. When I was a cop, I didn't run away from guns, knives, fights. No, I knew where I had to go. You think I'm running away from a punk? You think I'm running away from this guy who thinks who he is and he can't, he really isn't what he is?
And it's funny because a friend of ours, very good friend of ours, Danny, he had sent me a clip. Back in, I think, March 2021, Joe had Demi Lovato on his podcast. And he connected with her a lot because apparently there was a lot of domestic abuse in her home where her father beat her mother, okay? And he reflected on that, Joe, a lot. And that was one of the reasons why he brought her on the podcast. And apparently, you know, she had addiction issues that she suffered. And he believed that a lot of the domestic abuse brought on those addiction issues later on in her life. But what gets me is where he said in the interview, every child should know their parents. Every child should have their parents in their life. I quote, okay, but here you are, where my father had made numerous attempts to reach out to him, okay, when his grandfather died, right? His grandfather died. My father sent over his police officer friends. The funeral was held, the wake was held in Belleville, New Jersey.
No response.
No response. The police officers went over to the funeral parlor. Your father wants to see you. My father gets a call, Joe. He's not budging. Okay? When we were 19 years old, we reached out to him. He responds that my father's a sperm donor. He was in his beginning of his 30s. So for you to sit there and say, and you're sitting on this podcast where you have millions and millions of people
taking shots at the man who can't defend himself.
Taking shots at and has never defended, because my father is a gentleman, okay? And what his mother did was illegal. She could have gotten locked up. Not only that, her boyfriend conspired with her. Her boyfriend is his stepfather now, okay? It is sick. I don't know how she sleeps at night, knowing that there is a man who literally lost his whole family, and she holds the key. She holds the key to the 55-year-old man right now who believes that my father was a psychopath and beat everybody up, okay? She holds that key. Why not come forward with the truth at this point?
You're speaking nothing but common sense. And, you know, when you listen to Joe, he always talks about masculinity, and he's a UFC guy.
Right.
But what are you actually going to say when you were stolen as a child from your father? You were basically stolen. And what that basically means is you never got a chance to know this man.
No.
You never got a chance to know this man. If I'm a man, I'm going to at some point reach out to my father.
100%.
Reach out to my father to hear his side of the story. How many times have I listened to your podcast, Joe, and you said there's two sides to every story? How come you never listen to this man's side of the story?
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, whether you like it or not, you're a role model in this country.
Yes, he is.
Whether you like it or not, that is what you signed up for when it comes to with all that fame and all that money. What does that mean? That means you have to act like a role model.
Mm-hmm.
Having male figures in their kids' lives is one of the most important things in this world. A woman cannot raise a boy to become a man. I implore you to reach out to this man and make it right.
I mean, and what really is mind-boggling to me is he tells a tale of my father being this, my father, he was this big, scary dude. He was really big. At my father's finest, he was 215 pounds, 5'10". Is that really big, Gary? Is that huge? I mean, this is a guy who works with UFC heavyweights. He sees these huge men in the ring every
like
single...
Brock Lesnar, big boys.
Absolutely.
Big
Now,
boys.
that's a big boy.
It's a big boy.
My dad is the farthest thing from what Joe has portrayed him to be all these years.
And you know what else, Gary? Before my daughter leaves the conversation, it's amazing he called me a sperm donor. But, and he didn't like God.
He doesn't believe in God.
He doesn't believe in God. Listen to me now. But he must have forgot the time when he was with Howard Stern and them, and he got two, not one, two strippers pregnant.
Wait. One, I believe, it was his first girlfriend. He got her pregnant. They had an abortion, okay? And then the second was an 18-year-old girl named Crystal, stripper. I have a picture of her on my phone. And he didn't know she was pregnant. So when Howard brings him on, he also brings in Crystal.
What year was this?
Oh, it had to be I don't know.
We're talking about 15
I mean,
years
this
ago.
had to be, no, more than that. This was the
20?
early 2000s.
So this is early 2000s,
Yeah.
and he's doing stuff like that before he was actually the man. Could you imagine what he's doing now?
No, now.
Could you imagine what he's doing now?
Now he might be the woman.
I can't. I just can't.
Listen.
Listen. Joe gets his charisma. Joe has charisma. We're not going to.
He's born on the 11th. Okay. He should have charisma.
Okay. But he gets it from my father. Okay.
The apple don't fall far from the tree, does it?
I hope it did.
No.
You know what, my friend? We're gonna end on that little note right there. Do you have any last words?
No, it was a pleasure meeting you, Darren.
It was a pleasure meeting you as well.
Thank you.
Original Joe, do you have any last words?
Yeah. I'm original. I'll stay original. And I mean what I say, Joe. I'm a serious man. Your mother, your two uncles, they don't know me. They talk shit about me. But you don't know me. Read that letter that my lawyer sent you. Read it good, word for word. That's who I am, Joe.
I want to end this podcast by saying this. Joe was not here to defend himself, but everything we put out here is factual. And that's what people out here who are listening, go back and review it and fact check this man.
Oh, okay.
If he was after money, he would have done this 20, 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
He did this because Joe embarrassed him. And let me tell you something. When you don't show people respect, this is the end result.
And Joe, my last words. I'm straight. I'm talking straight. I didn't need no doobie or bong to talk this shit tonight, like you do. You needed encouragement because you squat when you got a piss.